Consistency beats excitement because the actions that actually build wealth are usually the ones people overlook, ignore, or quit too early. It's easy to get pulled toward things that feel fast, new, and promising, especially when everything around you is designed to grab your attention and make you believe there's a shortcut. But real progress doesn't come from jumping between ideas or chasing whatever looks exciting in the moment. It comes from doing the same small, effective actions over and over again, even when they feel repetitive and uneventful. Most people don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they stop doing it. They start with motivation. They feel energized. They make a plan, and for a short period of time, they follow through. Then something shifts. The excitement fades. The results don't come fast enough, and suddenly the routine feels like a burden instead of an opportunity. That's when consistency breaks, and once that happens, progress resets back to zero. The reality is that consistency is not about feeling motivated every day. It's about having a system that works regardless of how you feel. Some days you'll feel focused and productive and everything will seem easy. Other days you won't feel like doing anything at all. Consistency means you still show up on those days. You still follow through even if the effort isn't perfect, because over time, imperfect action repeated daily is far more powerful than perfect action done occasionally. Excitement, on the other hand, is unreliable. It comes and goes. It's driven by emotion, and emotions change constantly. When you rely on excitement, your progress becomes inconsistent because it depends on how you feel in the moment. One day you're fully committed, the next day you're distracted, and the day after that you're on to something completely different. That pattern might feel productive, but it doesn't build anything substantial. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum is what creates results. When you repeat the same positive actions every day, they begin to stack on top of each other. At first, the changes are almost invisible. You won't see dramatic growth in a week or even a month, but each action is like adding a small piece to a structure that's slowly being built. Eventually, those pieces accumulate into something significant. This applies to saving money, investing, building skills, and increasing income. None of these produce immediate results, which is exactly why consistency matters so much. When the reward is delayed, it becomes harder to stay committed. You don't get instant feedback, so it feels like nothing is happening. But behind the scenes, every small action is contributing to long-term progress. For example, setting aside a small portion of your income regularly might not feel impactful at first. It might seem too small to matter, but when you do it consistently, it becomes a habit, and habits remove the need for decision-making. You no longer debate whether you should save or spend because the action is automatic. Over time, those small amounts grow, and the habit becomes one of the most powerful drivers of financial progress. The same idea applies to improving your income. Learning a skill for a short period won't change much, but dedicating time to it consistently, even in small increments, leads to noticeable improvement. That improvement creates opportunities, and those opportunities lead to higher income. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens reliably when you stay consistent. Consistency also reduces risk. When you chase excitement, you're more likely to make impulsive decisions. You might invest in something you don't fully understand or spend money on things that don't align with your long-term goals. Consistency, on the other hand, encourages discipline. It keeps you focused on proven strategies instead of temporary trends. Another important aspect of consistency is that it simplifies your life. Instead of constantly thinking about what to do next, you follow a routine. That routine becomes predictable, and predictability makes it easier to stay on track. You remove unnecessary decisions and replace them with automatic behaviors that support your goals. Over time, consistency also builds confidence. When you see yourself following through repeatedly, you begin to trust your own actions. You stop relying on external motivation or validation because you know you can depend on yourself to do what needs to be done. That confidence reinforces the habit, making it even easier to continue. There's also a psychological advantage to consistency. When you take action regularly, you stay connected to your goals. You don't drift away or lose focus because you're constantly engaged in the process. Even if progress is slow, you're moving forward, and that forward motion keeps you aligned with your long-term objectives. One of the biggest challenges with consistency is dealing with boredom. Repeating the same actions every day can feel monotonous, especially when the results are not immediately visible. But boredom is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something correctly. The most effective strategies are often the least exciting because they are stable, predictable, and proven to work over time. When you accept that boredom is part of the process, it becomes easier to handle. Instead of looking for ways to make everything exciting, you focus on maintaining the routine. You understand that the lack of excitement is actually an advantage because it reduces distractions and keeps you grounded. Consistency also creates a compounding effect. Each action builds on the previous one, and the results start to accelerate over time. What feels slow in the beginning becomes faster as momentum increases. This is why people who stay consistent eventually see significant growth, while those who rely on bursts of excitement struggle to make lasting progress. Another key point is that consistency doesn't require perfection. You don't need to do everything flawlessly, you just need to keep going. Missing a day or making a mistake doesn't erase your progress. What matters is that you return to the routine and continue. The longer you stay consistent, the less impact those small setbacks have. Consistency also protects you from external noise. There will always be new trends, new opportunities, and new ideas competing for your attention. Some of them might even be worthwhile, but constantly switching between them prevents you from fully benefiting from any one approach. Consistency keeps you focused, allowing you to ignore distractions and stay committed to what works. In the long run, consistency is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. It's not about being the smartest or the most talented, it's about being the most persistent, showing up every day, doing the work, and trusting the process even when it feels slow. When you shift your focus away from excitement and toward consistency, everything changes. You stop looking for quick wins and start building something sustainable. You become less reactive and more deliberate in your actions. You understand that real progress takes time and you're willing to commit to that timeline. And as you continue to repeat those small effective actions day after day, they gradually shape your habits, your mindset, and your results, turning what once felt insignificant into something that steadily grows stronger and more impactful over time. Increasing your income, saving aggressively, and investing long-term are three simple ideas that sound obvious on the surface, but very few people actually apply them together with discipline. Most people focus on one and ignore the others, which limits how far they can go. When you combine all three and execute them consistently, that's when real financial progress starts to happen. Increasing your income is the foundation because there's only so much you can do by cutting expenses. You can reduce unnecessary spending, cancel subscriptions, and be mindful of where your money goes, but eventually you reach a limit. There's a baseline cost of living that you can't avoid. Rent, food, transportation, and basic needs will always exist, and trying to cut too deeply can make life uncomfortable and unsustainable. That's why focusing on earning more is so important. The process of increasing income doesn't require anything extraordinary. It starts with recognizing that your current income is not fixed. It's not permanent, and it's not something you have to accept as your limit. There are always ways to improve it, whether through learning new skills, improving existing ones, or finding opportunities that pay more for the same amount of time. The key is to be intentional about it instead of waiting for it to happen on its own. Learning valuable skills is one of the most reliable ways to increase income. Skills that solve problems, save time, or create value for others tend to be rewarded. The more you develop those skills, the more you can charge for your time. This doesn't happen instantly, but consistent effort compounds. Spending even a small amount of time each day improving a skill can lead to noticeable progress over months and years. Another way to increase income is by looking for opportunities within your current situation. This could mean asking for a raise, taking on additional responsibilities, or finding ways to contribute more value in your role. Many people avoid these conversations because they feel uncomfortable, but avoiding them also means staying at the same level indefinitely. Taking initiative can lead to higher earnings without needing to completely change your environment. Side income is another practical approach. It doesn't need to be complicated or time-consuming at the start. Even a small additional stream of income can make a difference, especially when it's directed towards saving and investing. Over time, that extra income can grow or even turn into something more significant. The important part is starting and staying consistent. While increasing income expands your potential, saving aggressively is what turns that potential into actual progress. Without saving, higher income often leads to higher spending, which cancels out any benefits. This is known as lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the biggest reasons people struggle to build wealth despite earning more over time. Saving aggressively doesn't mean depriving yourself of everything. It means being intentional about what you spend and prioritizing your future over short-term impulses. It requires making conscious decisions about where your money goes that a significant portion is set aside regularly. This creates a gap between what you earn and what you spend, and that gap is where wealth begins to form. One effective way to save aggressively is by treating savings as a non-negotiable expense. Instead of saving what's left after spending, you save first and spend what remains. This simple shift changes your entire approach to money. It forces you to live within a structure where saving is guaranteed rather than optional. Automation can also make saving easier. When a portion of your income is automatically set aside, you remove the need to make a decision each time. This reduces the chances of spending that money elsewhere and helps maintain consistency. Over time, these automatic contributions accumulate into a meaningful amount. Aggressive saving also creates flexibility. It gives you options and reduces financial stress. When you have savings, you're not as dependent on your next paycheck. You have a buffer that allows you to handle unexpected expenses, take advantage of opportunities, or make decisions without being driven purely by financial pressure. The third component, investing long-term, is what transforms your savings into something much more powerful. Saving alone is not enough because money that sits idle loses value over time due to inflation. Investing allows your money to grow and keep pace with or exceed that loss. Long-term investing is not about quick gains or constant activity. It's about placing your money in assets that have a strong track record of growth and allowing time to do the heavy lifting. The longer your money stays invested, the more it benefits from compounding, where returns generate additional returns. Compounding is a gradual process at first. In the early stages, the growth may seem insignificant, which can make it tempting to look for faster alternatives. But those faster alternatives often come with higher risk and unpredictability. Staying focused on long-term investments requires patience and discipline, especially when the results are not immediately visible. Consistency in investing is just as important as consistency in saving. Regular contributions, even if they are small, can lead to significant growth over time. This approach reduces the impact of market fluctuations because you're investing across different periods rather than trying to time everything perfectly. Another important aspect of long-term investing is avoiding unnecessary interference. Constantly buying and selling based on short-term market movements can reduce your overall returns. It often leads to emotional decisions, where fear and excitement dictate actions instead of a clear strategy. A long-term approach minimizes these risks by focusing on stability and growth over extended periods. Risk management is also part of investing. Diversifying your investments helps reduce the impact of any single loss. It ensures that your portfolio is not overly dependent on one asset or sector. This balance makes your overall strategy more resilient and sustainable. When you combine increasing income, saving aggressively, and investing long-term, each component supports the others. Higher income provides more resources to save. Aggressive saving ensures that those resources are not wasted. Long-term investing turns those savings into growth. Together, they create a system that builds momentum over time. At first, the progress may feel slow. The increases in income might be small, the savings might seem modest, and the investment growth might not be noticeable, but each step is building on the previous one. As income rises, savings increase. As savings increase, investments grow. As investments grow, they begin to contribute more significantly to your overall financial position. This process requires discipline because the rewards are delayed. It's easy to lose focus when the results are not immediate, but staying committed to the system ensures that progress continues, even if it's not always visible. Over time, the combined effect becomes more apparent. The gap between income and expenses widens. The savings grow larger, and the investments start to generate meaningful returns. What once required effort begins to feel more automatic as habits take over, and the system runs with less friction. The simplicity of this approach is what makes it effective. There are no complicated strategies or hidden tricks. It's a straightforward process that relies on consistent execution rather than constant change. By focusing on increasing income, saving a significant portion, and investing with a long-term perspective, you create a structure that steadily builds financial strength and opens the door to greater opportunities as each part reinforces the next and continues to expand your capacity to earn, retain, and grow money over time without needing constant adjustment or reinvention.